Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
This the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Program.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 360 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by former heavyweight world title challenger Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers. Eddie, how you doing this week, my man?
I'm doing good, my man. How about you?
Always good when speaking with you, Eddie. Always good when speaking with you. Going to dive straight into the review part of the show. We're going to start here with, I guess, the big one really from last weekend. It was Sunday night, which was annoying for everyone in the entire world who had work the next day. It was live on Fox pay-per-view in the UK. I don't think they showed it. I think it might have been on Fight TV. But anyways, I had to stream it. Anyway, let's start with the undercard. I'm going to run through this as quick as possible. Abner Mares coming back to the ring from about 4 years out of it. He came back with a draw, a majority draw over 10 rounds against friend of the show Miguel Flores, who's now 25-4 with a draw. Abner Mares now 31-3 with 2 draws. Bit disappointing, really, I guess, from Abner Mares. He'd been out the ring for such a long time. Get straight back in with this guy here, Flores, who I think always was going to bring it because, you know, it's a massive fight for him. He'd love a scalp like Mares on his record. And to be honest, arguably he won the fight. But in the end, it ended up being a draw. It was close. No real complaints from either man. Both good guys. Both, you know, very humble, good sportsmanship type of fighters. So, yeah, no real complaint there, but gutted for Miguel Flores because he comes so close to winning the fight, I think. You know, if anyone deserved it, it was probably him more than Mares. But anyway, the final cards revealed a majority draw over 10. Charles Martin with a win, now 29-3 with a draw, a KO in round 4 against Devin Vargas, who's now 22-8. I expected this to actually end within 4 rounds, so I bet on the fact that Charles Martin would get the stoppage by the 4th round, or, you know, within 4 rounds. So he did in the final round of the 4, like I say. But yeah, I think that one was always going to happen. Joey Spencer as well with a fight. People were criticising him throughout the fight. I think he won pretty much every round. I didn't see it, but apparently it was super boring. But anyway, he's 16-0. A unanimous decision there over 10 rounds against Kevin Zambrano, who's now 14-1 with a draw. He loses his O there. Rais Alim with a win, now 20-0. A unanimous decision over 10 rounds against Mike Plania. He won absolutely every round. Alim Plania now 26-2. Just goes to show how good I think Alim is. They are hyping him up. It was for the WBO, NABO Super Bantamweight title. And moving up once again, Jose Valenzuela, 12-0 going in. He got in with Edwin De Los Santos, who was 14-1 but had 13 KOs. I was looking at betting on this fight, and then I thought to myself, hang on, you can never really count out a guy, even though he's the underdog, you can never really count out a guy who's 14-0 with 14-1 with 13 KOs. He's obviously a real big puncher. Anyway, good job I didn't bet on Valenzuela, the massive favourite to win, because he was knocked out in 3 rounds by the big puncher. Valenzuela down once in round 2, once in round 3. De Los Santos down once in round 2 and deducted a point for hitting Valenzuela after he was down. KO 3 there for Edwin De Los Santos, now 15-1. Jose Valenzuela loses his O. He's now 12-1. That one was for the WBC Continental Americas lightweight title. In other news, we saw Isaac Cruz move to 24-2 with a draw. He absolutely steamrolled his opponent Eduardo Ramirez, now 27-3 with 3 draws. Ramirez down twice in that second round. WBC silver lightweight title on the line. That still belongs to Cruz. And the main event, Andy Andy Ruiz, now 35-2, a unanimous decision over 12 against Luis Ortiz, who's now 33-3. Ortiz down twice in round 2, once in round 7. We were talking about it last week, Eddie, and we didn't really have much of a clue. I did kind of not score the fight, but take a few notes during the fight. I'm going to just run over them real quickly. But yeah, I thought initially it was always going to go to points. I thought that Ruiz would probably win it on points, I think was my final prediction. But you made me think that, yeah, it could really end early because we just seemed to see Luis Ortiz, the punch resistance was gone against Charles Martin. And for moments in this fight, like I say, he was down 3 times. I thought, wow, he's not going to make it to the 12th and final round, but he did. And to be honest, every time he got up from being knocked down, he fought back quite well. And when it was all said and done, I mean, it was a wide win, I felt, for Ruiz. We'll get to that in a minute, but it did go the way I thought. I thought it would go. First round, Ruiz, I felt he was momentarily stunned by a straight left hand, I think, from Ortiz in the dying seconds of the first round, I want to say. Round 2, Ortiz obviously down twice, like I say. The first knockdown was just so quick, I didn't even know what landed until I saw the replay. It turned out to be a right hook by Ruiz. The second knockdown was a weird one because Ortiz kind of blocked the shot but still went down. It wasn't a heavy looking knockdown to me. I think he just hadn't fully recovered from the first knockdown. So a 10-7 round there for Ruiz in the second, but he didn't really have a great round aside from them knockdowns. I mean, he finished a round with a badly marked up eye because he got overconfident and kept walking into big shots from Ortiz, who clearly wasn't ready to go at that point. I'm going to fast forward now to the 7th round, obviously, when Ortiz was down for the 3rd time in the fight. It was a right hook on the temple that put him down. I think, really, he was probably lucky it happened with about 20 seconds left in the round because he managed to kind of get out the round, really, without taking much more of a big shot. And then the final 2 rounds, round 11, Ortiz's left eye began to really swell up at that point. He took a thunderous shot as well, a straight hand flush, a huge shot right on the eye. I thought he had to be miles behind on the scorecards despite not really scoring it round by round. And then the final round, round 12, I felt Ortiz finished, with quite a big round really for him. I gave him that last round. I think it's the end of the road. It's surely got to be the end of the road for Ortiz. I know afterwards he said to the crowd, "Do you want me to carry on?" And everyone kind of did. But yeah, the punch resistance obviously isn't what it was. On paper he's 43, but we all suspect he's much older. And I don't really want to see him continuing in the sport and getting dropped more times than we can keep track of. And as for Ruiz, I still don't think he's that fantastic, but he's done enough, I think, now to get another big pay-per-view fight. They're talking about the winner of Wilder and Helenius. I don't really think that his style bodes well with Wilder. I think Wilder's going to, knock out Helenius, and I think that Ruiz is just too small, I think, for Wilder. I think he would just take a few huge shots on the chin and he would probably get stopped. That'd be a dangerous fight. One card, though, in particular that we have to mention was 113-112. That one was from Fernando Villarreal. Shocking card for me. That is unbelievable considering there was a 10-7 round in round 2 and then a 10-8 round in round 7 for Ruiz. I haven't done the maths to work out how on earth you could have 113-112, but that sounds like he must have given almost every round to Ortiz. That's unbelievable there. But anyway, like I say, unanimous decision over 12. I thought that was going to happen, but I didn't think so after Ortiz was down twice in the second round. Like I said, that was very shocking, and it just kind of proved once again how the punch resistance has really diminished, because Ruiz, I don't think really has ever been a guy that would hurt you early or get you out early or anything like that. But yeah, he was catching Ortiz with big shots early on, and Ortiz is really known as a slickster, hard to hit clean, stuff like that. But yeah, it didn't seem that way, obviously. What did you make of it, Eddie? Not just the main event, but the undercard as well, if you want to say anything on those fights. If not, then just stick to the main event, my man.
Yeah, I wanted to comment one thing. I missed the Martin and Devin Vargas. I
think it was
thought
untelevised. I don't think it was televised, that one.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel a little bit better because I kind of wanted to see that one because Devin Vargas is a former amateur foe of mine. He was an Olympic alternate. He ended up being in. I actually lost to him in the amateurs. I think twice, believe it or not. As far as I missed Mares. I wanted to see him fight as well, but I seen Pitbull Cruz, and he's just ferocious. It's going to be difficult unless you're a master boxer who understands range and can deal with punching power, hitting on your arms, and is a real slickster. It's going to take a lot to beat that guy. That guy is coming to fight everybody, and he's not taking a backward step. Every shot he's throwing is for the KO. You have to be on your P's and Q's at every moment with that dude. He's special in that regard, So he's a tough one to deal with. As far as the main event, it kind of went as I expected it to go, as far as with the knockdowns and the fight looking like it could be stopped at any moment because of the way Ruiz was controlling. And what most people would be kind of surprised about is, I don't even know if that they would be, but is who was knocking the other one down all the time. I mean, you would have thought that Ruiz might have caught, that Ortiz might have caught Andy Ruiz and hurt him a few times. Kind of, if you watch the Areola fight and seeing Ruiz get hurt a good number of times, you would think, well, damn, Ortiz is a killer. He's a puncher. He's a heavy puncher. He should be able to do the same. It just didn't happen. And it was Ortiz constantly going down, which we already had discussed about his punch resistance and whether or not he still should be even in there fighting and how much he goes down. It's happened only really with Wilder and then Martin, but still yet that's kind of, that's been a pattern recently. And then you see in this fight with with Ruiz, and each time he gets hit with a good shot, his knees are weak and he's hitting the floor. So when I'm looking at the way the fight was going, when I thought about the scorecard, at first I'm like, damn, how is it that close? But then when you go back and look at the fight, and outside of the knockdowns in those rounds, there were rounds that I felt Ruiz, probably maybe won here and there, but he wasn't really doing much. If you really watch it, like if you really think about outside of those knockdowns and how the punches were affecting Ortiz, there were like, especially like the round right after the knockdown, I think the first one, he almost didn't really throw much. If anything, I don't think that round. And it was just like, damn, what is he doing? And there was times in the middle of the fight, like certain those middle rounds, where I felt like he was going to stop Ortiz, but he just didn't come out and do anything. And Ortiz would be jabbing him, hitting him with clean jabs, poking at him here and throwing, 1-2s to the body and things like that. And I'm like, what the hell is Ruiz doing? He got it on the table. He could just take it. And every time he hits him clean, he hurts him. It's like, you got to take more chances. But then again, we don't know what Ruiz was thinking and how those punches were affecting him. It didn't seem that they were hurting him, but shit, they might have. And any fighter knows if you feeling those shots, even if it's not visible, you think it might just be that next one. So sometimes you got to be a lot more careful. And if you look at the last round, he was taking a lot of, a pretty good amount of shots from Ortiz, but it just didn't seem to really sting him. You know what I mean? So not sting him enough to where he was going to go down. So it kind of surprised me that more than anything. And, but I still thought, at the end of the fight that Ruiz got it by a pretty decent amount. I figured that some of those rounds, they were just going to give it to Ruiz just because, neither one of them were doing that much, even if Ortiz threw a few more. I don't know. It just kind of threw me for a loop, the whole thing, and then the fight being that close. But I can see in some ways how the fight was a little closer than we might have thought because of the lack of activity of Ruiz, outside of those knockdown rounds. And I think that is where some of the rounds got a little confused, where, maybe they gave Ortiz a round maybe he didn't deserve. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. That's, the eye test for them. I can't really, I didn't really, do it round by round, but judge it round by round. So I don't know, but the fight was interesting. I think it was, I I don't want to say it's anticlimactic, but there was good moments in it. You know what I mean? It was an interesting, fun fight in some ways, but there was a lot of hell punches. I think there could have been more, especially on Ruiz's side, and I think he kind of left it on the table there, and he almost bit him in the ass, with the decision.
Yeah, and while you were just going through your thoughts on the fight, I did manage to total it up. If you give Ruiz round 2 a 10-7 for the 2 knockdowns and then round 7 a 10-8, that would mean that obviously that's 2 rounds where there's been knockdowns. So if we pretend those were rounds 1 and 2, it leaves 10 other rounds of a 12-rounder. You would have had to give Ortiz 7 of those rounds and 3 rounds to Andy Ruiz to get the 113-112 Andy Ruiz scorecard. So that is obviously what Fernando Villarreal, that's how he scored the fight, 7 rounds to 3, aside from the 2 knockdown rounds in favour there of course, Ortiz. Interesting. I couldn't see that, even though, obviously, as you touched on, Eddie, the work rate seemed to drop at times for Ruiz, who I think is a brilliant catfish as well. You see pictures of him building up to the fight, and he looks like he's about 175 pounds. He looks like he's going to make light heavyweight, and then all of a sudden he turns up and he's exactly the same weight he was for the Joshua 2 rematch. It does make me laugh. Anyway, moving on now to the Farmers Market in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, USA. Carson Jones with a win, now 42-15 with 3 draws. He won every round against Demetrius Walker, who's now 8-38 with 2 draws. Unanimous decision there over just 6 rounds. A win for Carson Jones, who has to be about 63 years of age these days. All the best to him. Moving out now to the Huntington Center in Toledo, Ohio. We're going to be speaking to this young man in a few moments. Albert Bell, still undefeated, 22-0, a unanimous decision over 10 rounds against Nicolas Polanco, who's now 20-3 with a draw. That one was for the vacant WBO, NABO Super-Featherweight title. Brilliant stuff for Albert Bell. We'll be speaking to him in about 5 or 6 minutes, something like that, I guess, from now. The final card to mention, there's 2 actually. We're going to start here at the Centro de Usos Múltiples in Hermosillo, Sonora, Mexico. Over here, live on DAZN. Hector Flores Calixto, 20-0 with 4 draws. It was for the vacant IBF light flyweight world title. He got in with Sivanafi Nonchinga, who was 10-0. I'm going to hold my hands up and say I completely missed this entire card, and I know that if you're a die-hard boxing fan and you did watch it, you're going to be mad as hell at me, because I heard that the main event was a real classic. But anyway, Flores Calixto down in round 2. He lost in the end a split decision over 12. So the new champion, the new IBF World Light Flyweight Champion of the world, Sivanafi Nonchinga, now 11-0, and off the back of that, he's been signed to Matchroom Boxing with Eddie Hearn, going to be fighting on DAZN going forward. And the main event, Juan Francisco Estrada, like I say, didn't see the fight, but I heard it was a real classic. Now 43-3, a unanimous decision over 12 rounds against RG Cortez, who's now 23-3 with 2 draws. Cortez down in round 7. So good to see Estrada back in the ring, even though I didn't see it, I apologise. Moving out now to the card that happened in Britain at the Echo Arena, Liverpool, Merseyside, United Kingdom. This one was live on Sky Sports. Fraser Clark with a win, now 3-0, a TKO in the first round against Pencho Tvetskov, who was actually undefeated, 7-0. He only had about 3 days' notice. He's now 7-1. Knocked out in the first round, down twice. It was very embarrassing. So much criticism as well going to Fraser Clark. It's not really his fault, but yeah, there was a lot of blame shifting from the promoter and the manager and all the rest of it, it looked like. Adam Azim with a big win, 6-0 now, a knockout in the first round against Michael Cabral, who's now 5-5. Cabral down from a body shot prior to the stoppage. We had Diego Costa, who was set to take on John Doherty, and John Doherty pulled out. In stepped an undefeated fighter by the name of Musa Moyo, who was 4-0. He's now 5-0. He actually upset the odds and was able to win on points over 6 against Diego Costa, who loses his O. He's now 8-1. I had a small little bet on Musa Moyo, so I was quite happy about that one. Moving up the card once again, Dan Aziz now 17-0, unanimous decision over 12 rounds against Shakan Pitters, who's now 17-2. This one was for the British light heavyweight title, so a successful defence there for Dan Aziz. I think that's probably his first one. It was a competitive fight. I mean, Aziz, I think, is steadily improving fight by fight. I feel like he does need to be in some bigger domestic fights, even though it does sound a bit harsh, like I say. He's been having good domestic fights, but there's so much depth domestically. It's unbelievable at light heavy. After the fight, he called out Lyndon Arthur. That's a great fight. I want to see more of those kind of names in with Dan Aziz. As for Pitters, it's a difficult spot he finds himself in, but again, there are other domestic opponents that he could fight. You know, as I said, there's so much depth domestically, such as someone like Jose Alberton or Willie Hutchinson or Rocky Fielding. Those kind of guys I think he has a decent chance with. It's not time to write him off, I don't think. And Natasha Jonas, she got in with the undefeated Patricia Bergholt, who's now 15-1. She loses her own. Natasha Jonas, though, she's now 12-2 with a draw, and she takes the WBC Super Welterweight title, Super Welterweight World title away from Bergholt. So she's now a unified Super Welterweight World Champion. She won pretty much every round against Bergholt. So yeah, Natasha Jonas now has 2 of the belts. Unbelievable, the WBO and WBC. Yeah, I mean, she seems to always deliver. She's probably one of the most entertaining female fighters out there. And I kind of wish that she was actually going to be fighting this weekend on the Shields card, because yeah, she's value for money and she gives it her all every time. She put in one of her best performances here against an undefeated fighter who, like I say, was a WBC world champion, and she made it look easy. Credit to her, you know. She moved up 3 weights to be at this weight in the beginning, and it seems like she's looking better than ever, even though she seems to be wildly out of her comfort zone in terms of the weight. But yeah, I love what I'm seeing, and like I say, she's constantly seeming to improve, even though she's up there in age. You know, she's doing fantastically, man. Honestly, I really enjoy watching her fights. I really do. And let's hope that we see a big domestic fight for her soon as well. I mean, maybe the winner of Hannah Rankin and Terry Harper. I think that makes logical sense. And there shouldn't be any politics getting in the way of that one. And then the main event, Liam Smith now 32-3 with a draw. He was able to TKO in 4 rounds Hassan Mwakinyo, the real flash in the pan, now 20-3. Mwakinyo down twice in the 4th round prior to the stoppage. He boxed well, Mwakinyo, to be totally honest with you. But yeah, at one point in the fight, I think it was the 3rd round, he fell back on his ankle and he goes down, and it probably shouldn't have been called a knockdown, because I don't think anything really landed. He went down on his ankle. And then obviously in that 4th and final round, he randomly takes a knee after not even really taking any big punches. He blames the canvas for the slip. He gets a count. Then he goes down again in exactly the same fashion. He hadn't even taken any shots. And Victor Lachlan just stopped it straight away. I thought it was a really bad stoppage, but there was so much confusion. It was one of the strangest endings to a fight I've seen for a long, long time. And while Mwakinyo was down both times, I will say, in that final round, Smith was trying to hit him with massive uppercuts, massive shots while he was down. Lucky for him, none landed. I felt that was extremely idiotic. But yeah, I guess looking back at it now, you'd have to say Mwakinyo was maybe looking for a way out, but it made no sense at all because I felt he was boxing quite well through those 4 rounds. Just bizarre, but it is boxing, and boxing is so bizarre, and sometimes we try to explain things that are just unexplainable, and that for me was kind of unexplainable. I still don't quite know what happened, and I don't even think Liam Smith does either. But anyway, that wraps up the review part of the show. The final thing for me to do before we wrap up this part is to welcome this week's special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the undefeated super featherweight contender. It is, of course, Mr. Albert Bell. Albert, welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure having you on, Albert. So it's the first time you've been on this show, so welcome once again. You've been a guy that I've had my eye on for a number of years now. Obviously, you turned pro back in 2013. You're 22-0. Really, you should be 23-0, though. Just tell me briefly about that weird no contest back in 2017, man.
Yeah, it was a big card, so they had cut the rounds from the fight. It was scheduled for a 6-rounder, and they cut it to a 4. I won every round, won the fight, and then like 3-4 months later, after the fight, they changed it to a no contest. I have no idea why. They said it was contract violation or something like that, but I'm not sure what happened with that.
Yeah, seems a bit weird. Obviously, I think the contract didn't say 4 rounds. It ended up being 4 rounds, but just seems so strange. Yeah, I said to you before, Albert, that I feel that you're massively underappreciated by the majority of boxing fans. I don't feel like you get enough hype. Do you feel that way as well?
Oh, yeah, for sure, but that's just because they haven't seen me in there with the bigger names. But it's a reason why, because them guys won't fight me, But in time, I get my just due. I just got to keep winning and doing what I'm doing.
No, for sure. And the reason I say this mainly is because I remember seeing you beat Andy Vences live on ESPN at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. You took his O. It was obviously on a massive undercard, Fury Schwartz. And after that, of course, Vences goes on and, lands a big money fight on Triller against John O'Carroll. It was a great fight, no disrespect to him. And then, of course, after that, the same kind of time, your contract broke down with Top Rank. It just didn't seem to make sense. You won the fight, but seemed to kind of go downwards a little bit. And he lost the fight, but managed to be on this big platform in a big fight. Yeah, tell me what happened with that situation. Did you feel like you kind of won a fight and then went backwards a little bit?
No, it's just like boxing is all politics, man, for real, But it was like that fight. It was like the best and worst thing to happen for me because after that, wouldn't nobody take a chance and really get in there with me. I'm big risk, little reward type of thing, So, yeah, that's pretty much what happened with that.
And obviously, you're 6 foot tall. You're world ranked. Super featherweight as well. You're huge for the weight. You're fighting out of Toledo, a place where a lot of good boxers come from. Obviously, the likes of Jared Anderson making a lot of noise. The likes of Robert Easter Jr. Both guys have been on this podcast in the past. Why do you think your profile isn't up there with theirs? I know that obviously you said the fights haven't been made, obviously, but you've got more wins than these guys. You've been on the big platform, on the big undercards. Is that the only reason you think? Because you haven't been in these big fights?
Yeah, that'd be the only reason. Absolutely, yeah, that'd be the only reason because I'm very avoided because of, like you said, my size and then the way I box, my style, So I'm a very avoided guy. So a lot of them times it's how you get known, is fighting the fighters that they know already or that got the media behind them. And once you beat those guys, people become fans of yours. So once I get those opportunities, a lot more people know about me and the cat will be out the back.
Yeah, because I was thinking to myself earlier, if you were from the UK, if you were British and you were 22-0, this big super featherweight guy, undefeated, you'd be a star straight away. That's all we need to know. 22-0, hasn't lost, star. That's it, So it's a shame in some ways because I speak to a lot of guys in the US who are in similar positions and I think, why are you not bigger than what you are? But let's leave that there. We'll come back to it. One thing that some people have criticized you for in the past is the apparent lack of punching power. Do you feel that you're not a big puncher, Albert, or does the record deceive us?
The record deceive. I could punch, It's just a lot of times I'll be having hand injuries, so once I do land a good shot or something like that, I won't be able to really follow up and get the knockout. So I don't got a lot of knockouts, but I could beat anybody they put me in there with, So criticism comes from that. But I'm about to get my hands all the way together. I'm gonna go to a hand doctor and get them all the way 100% before my next fight, and then I'll start looking for getting these stoppages and get these guys out of there.
Oh, excellent, man. And I wanted to ask you, Albert, who have you sparred with over the years? I'm guessing you must have sparred with some pretty big names. Who comes to mind off the top of your head?
For this camp, I had sparred with Devin Haney. I was just in Australia as the main sparring partner for George Kambosos, getting ready for the Devin Haney fight. Last year, I was Lomachenko's head sparring partner. I have sparred Teofimo Lopez. I have sparred Adrian Brawler, Robert Easter Jr., Rashi Warren, Francis Barthélemy. Let's see. I sparred a little bit of everybody, to be honest.
That's incredible, man. That's a crazy list. I want to ask you now that's brought me on to this question here. Obviously, you sparred both Kambosos and Haney. We saw the first fight go very one-sided for Haney. Do you see the second fight more of the same?
I believe that Devin wins the rematch. They gotta just, I don't know. I feel like he's just a better boxer at this time of his life. He's just clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And my last question on sparring, because I really do want to stay on you as the main topic. That's what you're here for. But tell me what the sparring was like with Lomachenko.
Great work. It's probably the funnest person I had. Probably the best time I had sparring, because it was just fun. Just the mental challenge and taking myself up to the next level, and competing with a guy like that day in and day out. So definitely great experience sparring Lomachenko. Great fighter.
Excellent, man. And of course, when you turned pro, you weren't immediately with the big promoters such as like a Golden Boy, a PBC, Top Rank. These are the kind of promoters that it's almost like you have to sign with to get to the top almost. As you said, boxing is so political. Go on.
Yeah, but when I did turn pro, that's when Mike Tyson started his promotional company. So it was kind of big when it first opened up, but they didn't stay open. They ended up selling the company. But that's why I signed to, coming out the amateurs, I was signed to Mike Tyson.
Okay, cool. I know that his obviously the TV contract, as you said, it wasn't a long-term thing. You did wind up eventually with Top Rank in 2018. I think you had 7 fights with them. What happened for that to break down?
I asked for a release because, like I said, they was just giving me stay busy fights instead of the fights that I really needed or to propel myself forward to world championship. So I thought it was just best for a career move at that time to step away and regroup and do some things on my own independently, and that's what I did.
Yeah, no, credit to you, because I have to agree. I mean, I said it, you beat Andy Ventez. Where's the step up? You obviously wanted to step up. So no, that's credit to you. That's a brave thing to do. You boxed on the weekend just gone. The fight took place in Toledo. You beat Nicolas Polanco by unanimous decision over 10 rounds. You beat him wider than anyone else ever has. Tell me about that fight for those that didn't get to watch it live, Albert.
It was a good fight. He's a tough competitor. I really only had him losing one fight coming into the fight against Javier Fortuna, because his last fight could have went either way. He dropped the guy a couple of times. They gave the guy the nod, so I don't really credit that against him. So yeah, I give him 21-1 coming in. So the fight came out. He was coming. He was very aggressive. I was just picking my shot, counter punching him, blasting him a big shot, until I hurt my right hand in the 4th round. I just beat him up with all left hands from the 4th round through the 10th and won every round.
While being dressed in Gucci shorts as well.
Yes, gotta be fly. Gotta do it in fashion.
And you've said it in the past, and you've said it during this interview, Albert. You're one of the most avoided fighters in the division. I can see why. As soon as people realise that you beat good fighters in the amateurs, you beat good fighters in the pros, you've sparred all these top guys, you're undefeated, you're 6 foot tall, they're just going to hang up the phone. It's a scary thing to learn all of this. But in reality, you are world ranked. You're 6th with a WBO, you're 12th with a WBC. The champion of both those organisations is the same man, Shakur Stevenson. Is that the fight you want above all other fights?
Any of the guys with the world title, you know what I mean? It's not just him, but any of the guys that have the world title, I'm them the fights that I want, you know. However it works out, or with any section of body, but it really doesn't matter. Any world champion, that's what I'm after. That's my lifelong dream, to become world champion. So it really doesn't matter who, it's just what they have.
Okay, yeah, because we've got a recent British, obviously, world champion, Joe Cordina. I don't know if you've seen much of him. What I was going to say to you... Go on.
He has a good fight coming up.
Yes. It's a tough one because he's fighting the guy that drew, let's say, with
yes.
Exactly. And I think that one could have been a loss for Diaz, to be honest, if we had different judges. But, yeah, do you have any rivals out there, Albert? Is there anyone that's on your radar that you'd like to fight aside from the champions at all?
No, I don't got no rivals. It's all just business to me. I don't take it personal. You know, some fighters probably don't like me. I probably don't like none of them. But it's just, I don't really got no rivals, nah.
You're a nice guy.
I'm pretty just chill. I mind my business and just handle my business and, you know, and stick to doing me. I don't really get into all that Twitter beef and stuff like that. That's not my thing.
No, I respect that, man. And finally, my last real question for you. I've purposely given you no warning about it. I'm really putting you on the spot. I like to ask this question to everyone that we speak to from overseas. Favorite UK fighter, any era, who springs to mind if you have one? If you don't, it's okay.
UK. It's where's Lennox Lewis from?
UK, baby.
Okay, I love Lennox. Tyson Fury's not from UK, is he?
Tyson Fury is from the UK, yeah.
Tyson Fury is a great fighter. I would say those two. You know, I like both of those guys, but I'll Lennox Lewis.
Yeah, absolutely. Two heavyweights there, fantastic fighters. And just finally, before we let you go, Albert, I like to just kind of throw the microphone over to you just to sign out with any closing message that you may have to the listeners. You can say absolutely anything you want before we wrap it up. And also, don't forget to please plug your social media so people can follow you as well.
Okay, that's Albert Prince Bill signing off from Toledo, Ohio, USA. You know, just keep following and supporting me, and great things are coming. You know, what's delayed is not denied. So keep stepping up and keep just getting these wins and become a world champion real soon. So follow the journey, and then y'all can follow the journey at my Instagram at Albert Prince Bell, on Facebook at Albert Prince Bell, and Twitter at Albert Bell 419. Keep fighting, I'll support, and I'll fight for y'all.
Absolutely. Perfect words, my friend. Listen, Albert, it's been a blast having you on. Thank you for your time. Congrats again on your win. Stay in touch, and I hope we can do this again sometime soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and we most definitely will.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, usually the news part of the show. Nothing to mention, though, as of yet. So if anything develops from now to the end of the show, I will talk about it on the outro. We're going to move straight to the preview part. There's only one card to mention this weekend. It goes down at the O2 Arena in Greenwich, London, United Kingdom. It's going to be live on Sky Sports. It's going to be, I believe, on ESPN Plus in the States. Because there's only one fight card to mention all week, and it's the all-female card, of course, I'm going to mention every lady on the card. Starting from the bottom, Sarah Liegman, 4-0 in a 6 2-minute round contest against Beck Connolly, who's 3-15. I've aired my opinion on Beck Connolly before. I really like her as a person. She seems really cool. However, she, I think, needs to, be looked after and have her license revoked because she gets hit clean every single fight. Like, she's tough. She doesn't often get stopped, but it's just her toughness that I guess gets her through some of these fights, because her defense is terrible. It's non-existent, and she just takes punches flush in the face. You know, she's got children. I don't really like what's going on there, but hopefully she doesn't get knocked out again here. April Hunter, 5-1, 6 2-minute rounds against Erica Alvarez, who's 3-6. We've got friend of the show, Shannon Ryan, 2-0, getting in with Bushra El Kwasi. We interviewed Shannon a few weeks ago about this fight. Her opponent is 3-2 with 3 draws. That's over 6 2-minute rounds there. Karis Artingstall, 1-0, 6 2-minute rounds against Marina Shakarov, who's 5-16 with 2 draws. And the partner of Karis Artingstall, Lauren Price, 1-0 as well. 6 2-minute rounds against Timia Belik, who's 6-6. We've got Ginny Fuch, who's 1-0. I think she's from the US. She gets in with Gemma Rug, who's 5-4. That's over 6 2-minute rounds. There's a lot of 6 2-minute round contests on this card. Elsewhere on the card as well, Caroline Dubois, 6 2-minute rounds, 3-0. She gets in with Milena Koleva, who's 10-14 with a draw. And then, of course, the 2 world title fights on the card. Let's start with, I guess, the co-main event. It's for every belt, actually. Oh, no, it's not for every belt. It's for almost every belt. It's the IBF, the WBC, the WBO. No WBA, but the IBO is on the line as well. So IBF, WBC, WBO, and IBO World Super-Featherweight titles. Michaela Mayer, 17-0, getting in with Alicia Baumgardner, 12-1. Excellent fight, and I'm really happy that we're seeing it, because there was a lot of talk and I thought that it might not happen, but it obviously did get made, and I was extremely happy when it got made. And I'm over the moon that it's happening in the UK as well, so that's just a bonus I didn't expect to happen, because of course both ladies are from the States. It's over 10 2-minute rounds, of course, for a world title. As we know, Michaela Mayer, the pure boxer with the pedigree as an amateur, obviously, and as a pro, she's shown the toughness. I'll never forget her fight last year with Maeva Hamadouche, one of the best fights I've seen in years, probably the best female fight I've ever seen. And obviously Elisa Baumgardner, who seemed to, explode on the scene when she got the chance to fight Terry Harper back in November of last year, when she was able to stop her in 4 rounds. That was an excellent win there. But anyways, it's a fantastic fight. I don't know if you've seen much of either lady, Eddie, but my heart, I think, and head are both in the same place. Michaela Mayer points is my prediction for it.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of Michaela Mayer, honestly. Recently, I've been looking at Alicia Baumgardner a little bit. She's interesting. I've seen a couple fights with her. I can't remember which one I watched. I was watching some last night, actually. I can't remember the girl she fought, but she showed a lot of little slickness in there. You know what I mean? Decent puncher, I think, from what I saw, and some nice slick shots she had in there. But I got to go with what you're saying. I mean, I haven't seen Michaela Mayer. Maybe I was actually going to watch some of her just to do some film, so I could have something to say about it, just, so I can know a little bit more about the fight I'm going to be watching on Saturday. But I didn't get a chance to. Had to get some rest. It seems to be interesting. I like what I see with Alicia Baumgardner. I'm hoping that the fight, well, I don't want to say I'm hoping. I feel like the fight will be good. I'm just listening to what you're saying about Michaela Mayer. I love the pure boxers. I want to see what she's able to do in a fight like this with a girl at this caliber, and with all these belts on the line in a high pressure situation on a big card, one of the biggest cards I think you could ask for as a woman. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, look, we saw what Baumgardner did to Terry Harper. It was a brutal knockout. I mean, she was still on her feet, by the way, but she hit her with a shot and she was basically asleep standing up, and the referee jumped in. It was one of the best stoppages you ever will see in boxing. But that was a fantastic punch. There's talk about Terry Harper maybe being weight drained. She's moved up, I think, a couple at least of weight classes since then. Realistically, Baumgardner has her record of 12-1. She lost a split over 8 to Christina Linardatu, who I remember, I think, losing to, I want to say, Katie Taylor or something like that. Because the name does ring a bell and I'm not sure where from. I'm going to say it was probably Katie Taylor. Every girl that I've kind of half heard of has lost to Katie Taylor. Yeah, I'm right. She has lost to Katie Taylor. So that's where I know her from. But she did lose by a split, so I'm not sure. I mean, maybe she deserved it. I've got no idea. But she's got 7 KOs from 12 wins. I don't think that screams as an absolutely huge puncher. But I guess it's decent for female boxing, of course, at these weights. I've seen the pair stood up together, and Baumgardner's listed at 5'6", Michaela Mayer's listed at 5'9". For me, there wasn't 3 inches height difference in it. I'd say maybe 1 inch to 2 inches max. But you know, sometimes it can all be down to footwear and all kinds of things. But yeah, I just back Mayer. I mean, she's the favourite. She's quite a big favourite, to be honest. Baumgardner shouldn't really be able to hang with Mayer in terms of boxing skills. Like I say, Mayer is well schooled. She's been through the amateur ranks. She's very, very well schooled. And Baumgardner did just kind of appear on the scene out of nowhere. So yeah, I say Mayer points. I think it will get rough and ready at times, though. I think it really will. I think it's going to be a really exciting fight, the whole entire fight. And it's going to be fast-paced and stuff. But I think Mayer's too good, too well-schooled, and she's got the pedigree. I think Baumgardner will probably have moments. But yeah, I'm firmly with Michaela Mayer. However, I think Baumgardner's about a 5-1 underdog or something for a knockout, at least. So I think that's quite tempting odds there if you did fancy it. And moving up to the main event, a brilliant fight. I mean, Clarissa Shields, 12-0, defending her IBF, WBA and WBC middleweight world titles against Savannah Marshall, who defends her WBO middleweight world title. Both ladies 12-0, both have perfect records. It's over 10 rounds. The winner of this becomes the undisputed middleweight world champion. Brilliant fight once again. Absolutely brilliant fight. Again, it was another fight that I wasn't entirely sure we'd see, and eventually it did get made. Obviously, Clarissa has made a point of saying that Savannah Marshall has kind of made a career out of saying, hey, I'm the only girl ever, amateur or pro, to have beaten Clarissa Shields. We know about that. It happened 10 years ago in the amateurs, but it was only over 3 rounds. It was also disputed as well. Some people felt that Clarissa might have deserved the nod. But Savannah Marshall, I mean, this is the pro game, of course. She's 12-0 with 10 KOs. The power is certainly with Savannah, and that is coming from not just what I've seen with my eyes, but also I've heard behind the scenes that she's a real big banger, like it's legit. The power's legit. As for Clarissa, obviously 2 KOs from 12 wins doesn't scream a big puncher, but Clarissa's very confident that if they were to trade, that she would sleep, in her words, Savannah Marshall. I'm not so sure on that one. But yeah, for me, I saw the ladies together, and Savannah she's massive, Savannah. She's 5'11 and a half, by the way, and Clarissa's 5'8, so you can see the size difference is massively with Marshall. I mean, we've got to remember as well, Clarissa was making about, what was she making, 154, that's a weight that I don't think Savannah could ever make. I don't know if she struggles to make middle as it is, but she's a big girl for middle. I can't see Savannah Marshall losing this fight, and I say that for 2 reasons. One, I can see a stoppage. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I can see a stoppage. Remember, Clarissa's been down once, I think, as a pro, and she was down to a lady who didn't hit nowhere near as hard as Savannah. That's an absolute fact. So I can see a stoppage. The only thing is, it is 2-minute rounds, remember. And yeah, the power is real with Savannah Marshall. Like I say, she's stopped, I think, 2 ladies that Clarissa went the distance with. She stopped them brutally and early. I think there's at least 2, actually, that they've shared in common opponents, and Savannah's knocked out both. But I think being the boxer that Clarissa is, she's obviously a talented boxer, but I just think coming over to the UK, her style, I don't think is going to get rewarded by the British judges. And that is not fair. I don't want to see her get robbed or anything like that, but I'm just saying her style, I think she's going to be on the back foot. I think Savannah's too big, too strong, got a great jab, got a powerful backhand. I think she's going to be putting the pressure on Claressa. I think she's going to be the aggressor. So therefore, I think Clarissa's going to be boxing off the back foot, which she can do to a good ability. But I don't think she's going to get credit for it from the judges. And I think it's going to be a fight where Savannah's going to be coming forward, and on the eye, it's going to look like she's dominating it. Whether she is or not is up for debate. We're going to see. But I can see a stoppage, and I can also see a points win for Savannah Marshall. I don't think... I mean, there's no way in the world Clarissa's going to knock Savannah out. Not a chance of it. And I think for Claressa to win on points, she's going to probably need to win... She's not gonna be able to let a glove be landed on her. Basically, I don't think she can win the fight on points. I just don't. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just don't, and I'm going to be betting on that. I think this weekend. Eddie, what do you think? I know that obviously you know Claressa well. We've both been to a Claressa Shields fight, albeit in the opposite corner with our friend from Croatia, but. Yeah, I mean, Savannah Marshall, I don't know if you've seen much of her. Obviously, she's trained by Peter Fury, your old trainer, your old housemate.
My man.
Yeah, your main man. So tell me what you think. I don't know, like I said, if you've seen anything of Marshall, but I'm telling you now, this is going to be a brilliant fight.
No, look, I know Peter. You know what I mean? I know what kind of guy he is. I know his thought process towards training. You know what I mean? And I believe what you're saying about her. I haven't seen a whole lot. I haven't seen almost really much of anything. I've seen a few highlights. She looks like a banger. She's a big girl, big, strong girl. And I know with how Peter trains, let me tell you, I've never trained in a situation where I've trained as hard as I did with Peter Fury. And that's a fact. So I know she's coming to fight. And not only is she going to be coming to fight, she's coming to go 50 rounds. That's just how they train. You know, they don't take a backward step. There's a lot of science behind what they do. Peter's a brilliant mind in boxing, too. A lot of people don't know or don't give him credit for it, but there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that he sees, a lot that he works on. And I'm a good friend, but I'm also a fan of what his work ethic and how he comes across to his fighters and the kind of respect that his fighters have for him. And you know when you're going to camp with him, you know you're going to camp. You know what I'm saying? So I heard Savannah talking a little bit about how they train, and you know she starts the day feeling like, okay, it's pretty cool. Gets as the training's going on, she's hating Peter, but afterwards she respects how he. You know what I mean? She respects what he did because he's just that kind of guy. He kind of reminds me of how my dad was. You hated him during training, but afterwards you respected why he did it. You know what I mean? So a lot of respect for that side. The question I have for you, Joe, is when you say you don't think she can win a decision, is it because it's in the UK or is it just because you don't think that she can beat Savannah Marshall in that way?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she's going to get the decision because it's in the UK, and I don't think she's going to get the decision because I don't see her being the aggressor. And you know how it can be, especially over 2-minute rounds. They go so fast, sometimes you're forced to give it to the aggressor if it's a close round.
Facts. Yeah, that's true. And you know what? I'm not saying I don't think she can get it because I think she's a big enough star where people are going to give her the nod in certain ways, especially if she deserves it. But to be honest with you, Joe, I've seen bad decisions in a lot of different places for various reasons. You know, Savannah Marshall is, she's from the UK. I think she's from the north, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a little different and all, but she's still from the UK. You know, Clarissa's from here. They both have big personalities, but you know how much Claressa talks and a lot of the stuff that she says. So she's not necessarily going to be completely endeared, over in the UK with some of her, her opinions and the way she talks, especially with, like these pressers and different things like that and what she's going to do. So I don't know. I'm not going to say you're wrong. You know what I mean? I think actually you're on point with that. But to me, it depends on how the fight goes. And I honestly, when I was watching Claressa fight Ivana, I like Ivana. She's a great person and a really, really, really good fighter. And I expected her from what I saw and, from my brothers, telling me and a lot of things, how good she was doing and some of the things I see she was doing in sparring with other good fighters. I'm like, damn, Clarissa got a hell of a night coming ahead of her. And she just really went out and actually dominated. And it was a surprise to me in a way. And it just showed me she has a different gear. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that she's guaranteed to win just because, she did that against that particular woman. It doesn't mean it's going to be guaranteed that she's going to win. But I seen, when it comes down to it, she turns it on. She's ready to fight under the lights and do it in a great way. So I'm expecting an interesting fight. And I do agree, though, if it's close, probably going to go to Savannah. But if it is close, then you can flip a coin. Honestly, who says that's a bad thing? You know what I mean? But well, I guess it's a bad thing if she doesn't deserve it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. It's an all-female card. Excellent card that they got going. Especially to the two main event fights, the girls that I know of. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It's exciting for the women. It's exciting in general. I'm hoping so, for the future that they do more of these types of things. You know what I mean? It's excellent. Even put, not just all women's card, but even a mixed card. It's awesome. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully, we get a great night of fights.
Yeah, hopefully we do. And yeah, like I was saying, just to reiterate, I just think that Savannah being too big, too strong. Obviously, you made the comparison with Ivana and Clarissa. I think Ivana, all respect to Ivana, but she had quite a long career. Obviously, her world title days had been and gone. That's not to say she can't win another one in the future, but Clarissa was a lot fresher, and bigger naturally as well in that fight, whereas Ivana was obviously the smaller girl. Here we're seeing two fresh girls, and particularly Savannah, like I say, got 10 of her 12 opponents out of there, so she really hasn't done that many rounds as a pro, so she's extremely fresh. I actually want to look at it now. She did 4 rounds. She went the distance on her pro debut, did 4 rounds, then she went 2 rounds. She did 10 in her fourth fight. Then since then it's 2 rounds, 1 round, 5 rounds, 3 rounds, 7 rounds, 3 rounds, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. So she gets most people out within 4 rounds. I mean, that's a hell of a statistic. And like I say, Femke Hermans last time out was a former opponent of Shields. She got her out in 3 rounds. She'd gone 10 with Shields. Hannah Rankin, she got out in 7 rounds. She'd also done 10 with Shields as well. And Sydney LeBlanc, who she made her debut against, went the distance with both of them. So I think they've got 3 common opponents, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, she's going to be the bigger, stronger one, I think, Savannah. And I think she can bully Shields, and it will look good in the eyes of the judges from what I can see, especially the UK judges, who seem to not really give the away fighter much credit or chance in recent times, which is a sad situation. But I do want to see one clear winner here, and I just can't see Clarissa doing it, but we shall see. She's the friend of the show. Savannah isn't. But anyway, that brings the preview part to a close. In part 1, we did the review part. We welcomed our special guest, the undefeated 6'2" super-featherweight Albert Bell. In part 2, there was no news. I don't know if there's going to be any news by the time I come in with the outro. And then, like I say, we just wrapped up part 2 there with the preview part. The final thing for me to do is to come in with the outro, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Okay, and this wraps up episode 360 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A special thank you to our special guest, the undefeated super-featherweight world contender, Mr. Albert Bell. The biggest thanks of all, though, goes out to you, the listeners. That's about everything from myself. Enjoy your weekends, people. Stay safe, and we shall see you all again next week.